Hi everyone, I'm Nathan with Matador Properties and Alexander Realty, and this is Karen here with AccuLift, and today we're going to talk a little bit about foundation problems that we've had at 1152 Clydesdale, but we'll also talk in general about some other repairs that have been done on other houses and why these carbon fiber strips and cracks really aren't that scary once you get down to the engineering of it. Karen, I appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, absolutely.
First of all, why did we do these foundation repairs? Like, what causes this?
Yeah, so this house had three what we call pushed walls, and pushed walls are lateral deflection where the walls are actually coming inward due to soil and water pressure on the outside.
Okay.
And so basically the cause of this is twofold in most instances. One is bad drainage. Either that's just a problem at the time of construction. It wasn't, you're in a low spot, you have hillsides coming towards you that are hard to mitigate the water away, or you can have neglect, gutters, downspouts grade, patios falling towards the house, sending a bunch of water towards the house. And when we do that, we create a bunch of water pressure along with this expansive soil that we have in this area that creates additional pressure as well.
Gotcha. Okay. And on this specific house, I think we had a 1-inch lean on the front, 3.5, I think, here on the side. That's the right side of the house over here. This is the rear. We got a 4.5, I think.
I think it was even more significant than that.
Okay.
And so once we, the front wall was minor enough that we could just strengthen the wall with the carbon fiber and the angle brackets.
Okay.
But once we got to the right wall and the rear wall, they were too severe to just try and strengthen up.
Right.
And we were also still concerned about existing drainage problems in the backyard, just because we're a little lower than the neighbors behind us. And so that all led us to say, hey, on the rear and the right walls, we have to actually excavate the wall, take the pressure off, realign it so that it's as straight as we can get it, and then put in what we call a pressure relief system that just keeps that pressure from the soil and water from building up in the future.
Okay. Got it. Awesome. Yeah, and so just for frame of reference, further back in this backyard, we have a big hill. And then when we got the property, it sloped out and it just generally sloped all the way towards the house. So you can imagine pressure, water just constantly hitting that house. We've since then regraded away, created the swell out in the yard, plenty further away from the house. So it kind of gets that pressure away that she was talking about as well. Can you explain, so we've got carbon fiber strips, about every 6 feet, and pretty sure you can see that in the video. You call these angle brackets, correct? One thing that buyers come down and they see are, there's a crack, oh my gosh. Crack will shrink and crack. It's a matter of preventing it, water, moisture, whatnot. A lot of people come down and they'll see this and they're used to seeing the epoxy cracks, epoxy fill.
Right.
Why did we not epoxy these?
Because all of the waterproofing was done from the outside on the rear wall and the right wall. Since we were already excavating, we applied a membrane on all of the cracks on the outside. And the membrane, it's more economical to do. If you already have it excavated, it's much more economical. The epoxies and the urethanes get very pricey. But also it provides that positive, stop to the water from the outside. So it's highly effective. And so is epoxy injection, but when we run the numbers, it just makes more sense once we have it excavated to do it from the outside. So these are all waterproofed. When we do the excavation, we provide a waterproofing warranty along with the stabilization warranty, the structural warranty along with it. Awesome. And now on the front wall, that was just stabilized. So those cracks are not sealed up unless, we seal it up at the time of repair from the inside. So that would be an injection if the cracks were indicating signs of leakage on the front.
Awesome. All right, so talk to me a little bit about, after we've excavated, we've pulled the walls back, we've stabilized them, are we putting rock or soil back along that wall?
Yeah, so we fill the trench in, we have to have a trench in order to excavate the wall, and then we fill that trench in with rock. And before we do that, we put a perforated pipe on the outside right next to the footing that is sloped towards the sump pit on the interior of the house. And we line the entire trench with a filter fabric. And so what happens is that as the water comes towards the wall, it goes through the filter fabric, leaving the soil behind so we don't get silting in the future. That water falls, hits that perforated pipe, gets over to the sump pit and gets pumped back out. The reason we do a sump pit is we can do other methods like a gravity fed pipe if we have enough fall on the property. We did not have that here.
Right.
We can also do an external pit. Those have pluses and minuses to them. Right. Most of the time we do internal pits because they're easier to maintain the pump.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so the rock is really, the buffer is really the magic in all of it, what we call the buffer, you know, that rock buffer, that whole system of the pipe, the filter fabric, and the rock with the sump pit. And because that keeps the water pressure from building up.
Right.
And it does buffer some of that soil expansion and contraction that we'll naturally see in this area as we go from wet to dry as well.
Okay, perfect. Some questions that I know when I walk a house after foundation repairs have been done with a buyer that doesn't have much knowledge about it.
Yes.
They're like, they talk about these.
Yeah.
Like, is this really holding the concrete? Can you talk about the strength of these carbon fiber strips?
Yeah, so these, so the stabilization, when we're all done with everything, we still apply a light strengthening system. It's not as heavy as on the front wall that still has that existing pressure on it. And so these are spaced out a little bit further in every other joist instead of every, like the front wall. And we do that because even though the pressure is mainly off of the wall, this wall has been in significantly for so long that if we didn't, then it would kind of naturally slump back in due to kind of a little bit of a memory that the concrete and the structure has. And so the whole concept of this is that the top of the wall is kind of free, you know, before we do this repair. So it just leans in. Well, the brackets, you know, stabilize the top of the wall from moving in any further. And then the second part is this carbon fiber straps, because we don't want to create a inward movement at the middle where it could still buckle in. So these carbon fiber straps are really a replacement of steel. It's a retrofitting of the concrete. And it's highly effective and much easier to install than traditional I-beams.
Yeah.
So this system is really a replacement of I-beams. We still do steel I-beams. They have a place. They're very effective. Okay. This is much easier to install, as well as you know, it can be covered up a little bit easier than the I-beams. It doesn't take up those 4 or 5 inches of space.
Taking away square footage.
And you can paint over these. And so you can caulk all these cracks, paint this, and then almost you know, you lose a lot of that aesthetic problem with the carbon fiber because it is very obvious.
Let's talk warranties. We have to control the outside water as well. We have to keep the slopage. Talk to me about some of that stuff.
Yeah, so you know, the front wall still has all of that existing pressure. It doesn't have that pressure relief system on it. The front wall is greatly dependent on the homeowner maintaining their drainage, like every homeowner should, whether or not they have foundation problems. So your gutters, your downspouts, your grade, you know, those drainage issues that we talk about a lot in our industry. The rear and right walls actually will accept some, you know, neglect or imperfect grading issues, which is one of the benefits of them. But regardless, all of these repairs have a lifetime warranty. The rear and right walls have a lifetime warranty against any further inward lateral movement or water seepage through the wall, since they've all been sealed up. The front wall just has the warranty against any further inward movement. Okay. And any cracks that we would have sealed up would have the waterproofing warranty.
Okay. So we waited roughly 2 months after all the rock and dirt was put back, compacted, settled, and we put a patio in. Were we okay to do that?
Yeah, you're absolutely okay to put in a patio.
And it's sloped away.
Yeah, make sure it's sloped away. The beauty of the buffer, the pressure relief system, is that you have the luxury of not having to grade things perfectly. It can accept some drainage problems, some gutters, you know, getting overflowed occasionally. We still will encourage you to maintain that as well as you can, but it is more accepting. But yeah, absolutely. We have never had a repair where we excavated, move back in on us, period. And we've been doing this for over 40 years. So our success rate is incredibly high on this. And, you know, so that's why we believe so strongly in this system. You know, anytime you're stabilizing against the existing pressure, you have to make sure you maintain your drainage as well as the repair. And so it does come with a little bit more, you know, diligence on the homeowners.
Awesome. Thank you. So yeah, talk to us a little bit about what this big chunk of wood is.
Yeah, so on the front and rear walls, we had the luxury of the joist running front to back, and we're latching onto the joist in this particular situation to provide that structural strengthening system. On the right wall, we didn't have the joist to anchor onto, and so we had to create an anchor point.
Okay.
We nicknamed these build-outs, joist
Okay.
build-outs, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Other people might call them different things, but they're really just there. You know, we build out 3 to 4 open cavities in order to get a strong anchor point. And really, I know it just looks like we put, you know, a bunch of carpentry up there.
It's
They're
okay.
actually very tightly in there because the whole concept is to transfer the load to the subfloor membrane.
Okay.
And it's incredibly strong in that direction.
Awesome. At what point of movement, what point of lean, like we talked about inches earlier, 1 inch, 3 inch, at what point are we doing one repair versus another?
Right. If we're below half an inch of movement in most situations, we'll, you know, recommend to just improve drainage and monitor it. Okay. And not actually do any repair at that point in time unless there's other factors involved, like a real estate transaction, that sort of thing. With, you know, once they start moving in more, you know, 3/4 of an inch or more, then we're going to start talking about a repair. And when we're between, you know, 3/4 of an inch to 2, maybe 2.5 inches, depending on the situation, that's when we'll do what we did on the front wall with carbon fiber straps and angle brackets, just spaced closer together more conservatively.
Okay.
But once we get over 2, 2.5, and definitely at 3 inches, we're going to excavate. Once a wall has seen that much movement, our belief is that it's probably going to, you know, the pressure is probably too much to try and dam up against it. And we need to take that pressure off the wall, plus get that realignment that gives the wall a chance of great success in the future.
Gotcha. Well, awesome. Thank you guys so much. I hope you learned at least a little bit. I've learned quite a bit more, and I wish I could go back in 5 years and buy all those foundation issue houses. But there you have it. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.